he does a tour of London, and it's very, very to the point. He describes the architecture and what his thoughts are on that. Let me know if the audio is coming in good.
There's a movement here architecturally that's destroying our history and not giving us any opportunity for a part in our future. There's enormous buildings with foreign interests going up left, right and centre that do not relate to us as human beings. Come to sunny London in November. It's fucking great. The only good thing about this town now are the drugs, and there's none available. Oh, God, I'm doomed. As for drugs, just say no. That means more for me. That's Chelsea at sea. It's nothing but apartments. The fucking shopping centre.
The sound is working. Very good, very good. Okay.
Come shop with the shed. I mean, for a gig I wrote, Your Future Dream is a Shopping Scheme, I didn't really think it would turn out to be an actual reality. Maybe I was the catalyst that spurred this on, and it's all my fault after all. A couple of good things happened at the airport. But the funniest thing was at the passport control, the bloke was a Mohican. This I find amusing. How things change. And now a Mohawk is like an acceptable immigration officer. Life's strange. And it all comes down to it.
I think this is hilarious.
It's just hairdos after all, you know. And that's why, like, there's an alleged punk or whatever, and we're supposed to wear an
He's
outfit.
describing how the new architecture is very foreign, and it's doesn't connect with people. It's kind of, it's out of place, and he's describing how the old architecture is the highlight, and then that it's being hidden and destroyed in London.
This is King's Road, right? Northerners would come down to see Chelsea, and they'd come along the King's Road thinking, Corby, oh, so grand, oh, we'll see the swanky clothes shops. And all it was Malcolm and Vivian in their fishnet tights, selling bleeding rubber.
And Johnny Lydon is an Irishman, and that kind of came up during my research of Dublin, and he is Irish.
Boo, you fucking bastard. I used to live in the road over Gunter Grove until they turned it into a lorry freeway. This was considered posh when I was young. This was like moving up from Finsbury Park to this swanky end of King's Road. Yeah, that's seriously was like me doing myself, you know, the social networking. That's like 2 rungs up the ladder, I thought. No, it wasn't at all. It just meant I had to spend more money for less. Well, all my friends like to visit. We're heading towards London's fabulous River Thames. This is it, the River Thames. Look at that ugly, ugly fucking building. Look, it looks like 2 testicles without the willy, doesn't it? Right. The only good thing there is the barges on the mudbank. There used to be a hell of a load of drug dealers that lived on these barges here. You know, it's not for me to cast aspersions about that sort of thing, but there used to be some good wild parties there, but that was 30, 40 years ago. Hello, poor people! It was a kind of a turning point when I came up to this side of town, because the swinging 60s had like just about died a death, right? But everyone wouldn't give up their long hair and their Rod Stewart perms. And there I was at my bright green carrot top. And it was a clash of culture. And I was seen as an outsider from, you know, that filthy part of North London. What am I doing up here, you oink?
Johnny's definitely a truther.
Hanging out with Sid and the debutantes at the same time. It was incongruous, but it worked. More coffee, Vicar?
Yes. I'd like 2 lines of cocaine with that, please. And here on the left is Battersea Park, just across the River Thames. It's a wonderful scenic route.
Battersea Power Station, beautiful
Pink
building,
Floyd.
made famous by Pink Floyd. I think I preferred it when the pig was flying over the top. The best thing about it, and my dad would say this, is the cranes outside, because my dad's a crane driver. He would like that. Is that MI5? Those boys know all about me. For years and years and years, I couldn't get visas to live anywhere else but England because they wouldn't shut the file on me, and it made life very, very difficult. It's only last year I got a proper visa to stay in the US, and now that I've got that, I'm not sure I want to stay there. I think I liked the aggravation. But it's bizarre how a chap like me, I mean, I've done no wrong to anyone. I just spoke a few, like, home truths, and that kept an open file on me like I'm some kind of terrorist suspect. It's really compromising for me to say I love London, because I'm looking around. I don't know what it is I love at all. It must be just the people. I don't think I could have written the songs I wrote unless it was in direct relationship to human beings. You know, you can't just think up anarchy in the UK one morning over coffee. It's about struggling through the market at 6 a.m, you know, for a bit of cack. Upper Street Market, lovely place. You could buy broken plates of china there for 20 quid a whole set with a 1-chip saucer, hence the discount. In fact, my whole early life, I don't think I knew anyone that didn't have chipped teacups. You know, now that's considered, you know, ill health and disease spreading. Architecture does matter.
Yes.
But architects, I think they might be the problem. They cause these dilemmas. Every social unrest, really, is down to an architect. Every council flat badly designed, that's an architect that made that. And we have to then grow up and live in that environment and feel like rats in a cage. And our only chance of a night out is to come to areas like this, to go to the posh clubs, where of course they don't like us. Posh clubs owned by architects who built the council flats we come from. They're murdering the place. Hello, poor people. Hello, poor people. I kind of agree with Prince Charles.
He can't stand the New World architecture and the destruction of the old world.
How are you doing? They're fine, thank you. There's nothing wrong with Georgian terracing. It's very nice. It's part of our culture in a weird way. And I'm all for being a part of the modern world, but not when we're left out of it. That's Pimlico train station, right, a subway, but the building on top of it, I mean, that's a penitentiary, isn't it? It's the lock-up house for the loonies. Houses of Parliament, my God. Hello, poor people! Hello, poor people! Nothing but cunts in that house. The cunts are in the house. I used to think voting might change something. I learnt it don't. They're all a loss. Labour, Conservative, Democrat, Republican. Got to get rid of the whole lot of them. They're all liars.
Yes.
They're dirty old men, and they're usually what? There's at least 2 a year caught for some kind of child buggery.
He really went hard at Jimmy
than the
Savile
church.
back in
Politicians, probably the
that
same people.
British
They all end up wearing
entertainer Jimmy
dresses.
Savile.
Where's all the police? Oh, they're all undercover, of course. They're dressed up as tourists to fight terrorism. So daft, so British, so polite. Hello, poor people. I agree with you, mate. Yes, get them Arabs out of Iraq. Bloody hell, sort the place out. The home of democracy. And this lot caved in to George Bush and took us to Iraq. You know, no thank you. Guy Fawkes got it right. Poor old Guy Fawkes, a misunderstood comedian. But at least he got an occasion out of it, you know. Guy Fawkes night. That's been like a celebrated, like, part of our culture for a couple of centuries at least. And it's an important part of our culture. We celebrate the fact that Guy Fawkes tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament. But champagne socialism has now turned it into, oh no, you don't want to mention that anymore. Let's call it Halloween. What's Halloween to England? History's important, warts and all. It's funny, when I was in school when I was young, it was the one subject I loved most was history. And I used to row at the teacher a lot because I didn't believe what the books were saying, and I was right. Be nice to stop off in a pub and have a pint, you know? But now take a look, right? After that lovely Houses of Parliament, you got that opposite. Do not tell me that's a compliment. It's rubbish, it doesn't usually work. It's horrible when you go up there. There's nothing to look at, a load of office blocks. It's a bicycle wheel without the tyre. Blow it up, blow it up, blow that up. I don't like anything so far. So it's urban chaos. It's just one huge traffic jam. You can't get anywhere. No one speaks English. It's a wonderful town. Blair's Britain. When trumpets blare. When I was young, right, this is what we used to do with some saucy girls that used to work there, you know, servicing the MPs. Used to get a pint of lager there for 1 penny. Right? It was brilliant. It was the best place for drinking late at night. When the MPs really let their knickers down. Oh, they're all wearing frilly ones. This is when we did the famous Sex Pistols on the river and the Jubilee. This is where the police started pulling us up, right outside the Houses of Parliament. It was supposed to be an amnesty of 36 hours, all pubs open, everyone partying, unless of course you were someone like me. They chased us down the river, arrested everyone, but I managed to get off because some very nice policemen, they were looking for Johnny Rotten, asked me where he was. So I quite happily pointed out to Malcolm McLaren and Richard Branson. I was ever so pleased to see them carted off. I'm no grasser, but when it comes to fucking up Malcolm, he's over there. It's everywhere, right? And it's pervasive. I mean, that's a roundabout, right? And they plonk that in the middle so you can't see the other side. Surely that's like, you know, criminal. Blow it up.
So there's about 10 minutes left in this, and
Here's some lovely
I'm gonna
coming up on the left. Now,
wrap it up after this, but he's speaking a lot of truth, how he didn't believe what was in the history books and the history that he was being presented with, and he found himself arguing with the teacher about what was in the history books.
And a definite pebble dash in the toilet. Yeah, okay. No joke, you can't smoke in a pub no more. Wow. When they're going to ban the booze, because that's the next step, isn't it? It really is prohibition. Rules are for fools. But the good thing about rules is you need them first to know what they are, and then you avoid them. It doesn't work the other way around. Like anarchy, it's a mind game. I mean, Malcolm jumped on that. He thought, oh, anarchy, oh yes, we can sell that. I mean, you idiot. It's done as a laugh. His knees up Mother Brown. Britain's a culture that's continuously changing. Immigration has gone on in this island since someone got on a boat and came to it. But there's a Britishness in it. Every race that comes here ends up being British. I know that because I'm Irish. I mean, I grew up like Irish immigrant parents, you know, in a heavy Jamaican, Irish, Greek, Turkish, multi-mixture race called Arsenal, Finsbury Park. The concept of racism was always in other areas. I mean, we had to grow up and muck it in together. It was a melting pot. And when it was really hard to go outside of Finsbury Park and have to deal with the concept of, oh, you're one of them mixed lot. You know, like this was a bad thing. It was astounding to us. You see my mates, it's all races catered for, all right? And we don't view each other as aliens. And you come up to swanky Chelsea and it's, you know, the separation techniques. Divided we fall. One world, one race. But can we all speak English? Love me England, I love me Britain. Not too many folks here still do. Shame, innit? Expat, and I'm more loyal than anyone. This is the Queen, Mum. Loved her smelly knickers. Now you may add your insults. I ain't got none. That's what England's become, fags outside. Well, maybe that's the right choice. This is what being an anarchist gets you. Hello. God bless. How's the cricket? Good for a laugh. Any chance of England winning anything? That meant no. As you can see, I'm still as popular as ever. Everybody wants to sit next to me. 30 years of fame doesn't do you any good at all. It's consistently trying to rob you of your real personality. This is like midday, and we're in a dodgy pub in a dodgy area, and I don't know anyone around, and they're all shy. It amazes me. I mean, I grew up well known as a shy bloke in London, and now I find I'm not shy at all. They've all become what I thought I was. You know, anarchy in the UK was a desperate cry for attention. Many call this London Bridge. Whatever the Yanks bought originally, they moved to Arizona, I do believe. What they thought they were buying was Tower Bridge. It's a glorious concept of architecture, this one. It really is. The way those, roads open up. Novelty. It's really clumsy architecturally. It really is an ugly thing. But I love it because it's so British. Ugly. You see this glorious thing here, right?
This is
lovely
hilarious.
Old now, what is that? What is that? What they've done to this town is kill the culture. We know that's an alien object, right? It doesn't belong. And you cannot see that lasting, say, what, another 100 years? There's no chance of it. None at all. And that, look at that. What's that? A lopsided fucking scooter helmet. It's ugh. It's wrong. Blow it up. I can't relate to this modern shit. I don't think anyone in the world can. It's corporations telling us that we don't count anymore, that they own our world, and we merely exist at their pleasure.
We gotta change that.
There'll always be an England. There will, there will always be an England. Hello, London. How the fuck are ya? Hello, Polish workers. Welcome to Blighty.
Look at that
Drinks
bridge.
are on me. Now down there, right, Isle of Dogs that way. You know where the ships used to unload here, and they
He's
turned
so
the
full
Isle
of
of Dogs,
knowledge.
which is an incredibly hardcore working class area, into yuppie apartments. But you know what? You can't take the working class out of it. It doesn't matter what they turn it into. The Isle of Dogs will always be our kind of people. The Tower of London, a fantastic old structure, there but for the grace of God, I'm not locked up in tradition and history, as opposed to this glass thing opposite, right? And the excuse for this building is, oh, the glass work reflects the traditions and at the same time represents the modernity of the future. No, that's an ugly looking thing with a lot of pipe work.
Right.
It doesn't reflect anything except it tells us whatever my culture suffered through the bastards that used to run the Tower of London has been reduced to a new load of bastards running London in glass fucking houses. And these are the cunts throwing stones at me. Cheap. Oh, they're playing my music. It's my favourite rave tune. Oh, many a night I spent dancing to that tune. Look what a horse's arse London's become. Get off the road, you crazy fool! Officer, do you have a license for that horse? See his muggy little face? You know, oh, those London bobbies, they're tough. Fighting terrorism. All in the name of the empire.
Follow you, John.
Follow me?
Yeah.
Proper gooner
Go
then?
from just dictionaries and sex and all that.
You're joking, and look where you end up. Fucking
Just go to
lovely.
Louise's.
Oh, then you're well into prostitutes and lesbians. Good on ya.
Yeah, good laugh them days.
Still is. But London's become muggy. I don't know what's happened to it. Fucking champagne socialism, right?
I see Malky bottled out of the jungle.
Oh, of course he did. When's that bloke ever committed to anything?
Yeah, I remember him well.
Yeah, fake.
See you
Peace
later,
and
John.
love, sir. Cheers. See, regular people. This is. I like that about London. You can just talk to blokes working on sites, and that's how it should be all over the place. You know, no class distinctions. Look at that. That is a coffee percolator. What is that building supposed to serve at? And look at the narrow road it's down. What? Look at Lloyd's. Lloyd! Bloody hell, all your piping's on the outside. That's awfully obese. I mean, that's unfinished, isn't it? It's like a gasworks. That's another carbuncle on the horizon. Bloody hell. Have you ever taken an amplifier apart, you know, and you look at the inside? Well, there you go. There's a concept. I say, does anyone know who that gentleman is? Hello? Can you help me out? Who is that gentleman there? Does he represent anyone traditional? No, don't speak to me. Sorry.
How fun would that be, having a microphone on top of a double-decker
Even the police
bus,
don't pay attention.
going on a scenic ride through
mellow
London?
downtown.
That would be amazing.
Fucking hell. He looks like George Bernard Shaw, and he was Irish. It's the Duke of Wellington, and he's not wearing a pair. Look, he's got no wellies on. See, there's British history. Lord Sandwich, he invented the sandwich. Wellington, the Wellington boot. I mean, we're a pretty industrious lot, aren't we? Rotten. What did I come up with? That belongs in Japan, not here. It's in the wrong fucking place, you idiots. It looks like the side of one of them dreadful cruise liners that does them Caribbean specials. Blow it up. Blow it all up. Boom. It's so ugly. It's so antisocial that it just makes me really bloody angry. Guy Fawkes, oh my God, we've learnt from you. Oh mate, you are not missed, you are celebrated.
I still like that idea of pizza economy with the flats drinking on.
I've travelled the world so many times and I'm seeing all identity being crushed in every single country for this, like, name of what? Modern, cold, calculated commerce that just wants to sell us crap and wants us to take crap and shut up and enjoy it. There are so many cell phone company shops in London now. It's bizarre. Record stores are closing down to sell cell phones. For what? Who are you going to ring? There's nothing to say to anyone anyway except, bloody hell, what are you doing tonight? Oh, nothing, you know. Oh, cool. London's full of people outside in the street smoking cigarettes or on a cell phone or both at the same time. It's not friendly anymore, at least in this part. But then again, I don't think it ever was round here. It's always been about commerce, but with no sense of values.
Welcome to beautiful London. We're in downtown. I think it's the bank. Well, there's a bank somewhere nearby. Well, you got better than that.
But there's also this glorious avoidance of the wondrousness of the Bank of England and the beauty of a £1 note. This is St Paul's. Break your neck. See, they've cleaned this up too. But in a weird way, I liked the stone all dark. It meant something. It meant it was substantial and stood there for a long time. Polishing it up like this makes it look like Disney World. removes history. Leonardo da Vinci paintings in the Vatican, they want to clean them up and take the grime off. I mean, I'm sure the bloke when he painted them was well aware that they would deteriorate over time. Well, isn't that the point? Things are supposed to. Look at my face. In 30 years, it's most seriously deteriorating.
He has such a great take on everything. You know, he is controversial, and some of his language is offensive to some, but his message is clear.
Things are supposed to shrivel and die eventually, but with grace and dignity. Look at the structures. Look back, please, right? It's a carbuncle of ideas, isn't it? You know, ode to a Grecian urn, really. Keats reference. God, I'm too good. You got domes, spires, pillars, cornices, and none of it matches. What a shame that it doesn't have matching clocks. Now, if that was an American designer, there'd be a clock on each pillar. I like them old statues. Statues do mean something. They are focal points, and they do get you talking. It's always nice when there's a good statue at the end of the road.
True, that's very true. There's about 7 minutes left in this, and I'll play it through for you, and we'll have a chat at the end.
I don't want her to be English. We're supposed to be different. It's what makes us count in the world, that we are different. Those differences matter. It makes life enjoyable when you travel the world to see different approaches to life, different structures, different meanings and attitudes. Do we want the whole universe to become one big shopping mall? You know? A Britney Spears universe. And we know how mediocre that is. If I was a true anarchist, I would recommend Britney Spears to everyone. But I'm not. So carry on buying your Clash albums.
Hello, poor people. Hello, poor people. Hello. Hello, poor people.
That might sound arrogant on the camera, but the people I'm saying that to, they know what the gist in this is. Because I'm still poor people. I mean, I did this bus ride today thinking like, oh yes, great, they'll always be in England. And I'm ending up really depressed by what I'm seeing. It's gone wrong. All right, we've got to take this back off these silly sods.
Yes, we have to take it back.
It's the universe, isn't it? Sooner or later, Britain will become a shopping mall for American tourists. And look at this, look, more glass structures, bloody ugliness. How long's that thing gonna last before the rust sets in? These are saucy, like, corporations. They're building these things as a statement, almost like oppressive, domineeringly. It's like, bugger you, we don't give a fuck about you anymore. We'll do what we like. Hello, sir. Are you building something ugly? Yeah, destroy the city, yeah? Fucking joke, innit? There'll always be an England. No, more Poles on the outside. There's more Poles in London than in Poland. And that's just on the buildings.
Hello, disassociated peoples of the world. Isn't London a lovely town? Hello, indifferent yuppies. Everybody bored? Well, you made it this way, not me. I'm now a tourist, and I'm unamused. You fucking wankers. What have you done to London, cunts? Has anybody seen a cockney lately? Huh, I've heard they're an endangered species. They're going the way of the white baboon. Look at you cunts. You're all like clipped budgies, stuck in your fucking cages. What's happened to London? Hello, London. Do you still exist? Is there a London anymore? Is there a London anymore? It's bollocks, isn't it? Bollocks. Cunts. Where's my England? I want it fucking back. Cunts, cunts, cunts. Yuppie bastards. Hello, workers. Building a new carbuncle. Thank you for destroying my country. Blokes in suits. Anybody got a life in this town? Does anybody care anymore? Does anybody give a fuck? Is it worth it?
Wow.
Happy Arsenal! You are my London. Get back to work. Come on, you got some more cell phones to flog. Spot a real estate? Got a yuppie apartment in Westminster for me? Super. Fuck off, everyone, for no reason at all. Fuck off. Fuck off, fuck off. He's swearing antisocial. Words like fuck, cunt and bollocks, right? These are regular words to us. We grew up with them. It's the way you use them. It's the way now modern yuppie sport fucking bastards come down and try to reuse them. It is offensive when I hear a middle-class wanky go, oh, fuck off, right? It's wrong. Got a life? Have you got a life? Have any of you got a life? Have you got a life, sir? Have you got a life? I bet you got a wife. That means you got no life. That looked like a policeman. I should be careful. Who built that? Who built that? I want my money back. Who built that? Blow it up. You want a bus ride? Hello? Hello, poor people. Well, we're still following the police horse's arse. Right, that's how far we've gone. We've been beaten by a horse in traffic. In the middle of London.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's been a good show.
No, really, innit?
I really
Where
hope
else
you
can
enjoyed
moan
this.
Like this? I hate
Wow.
heights, I really do. But this is all right. I'm okay with this today. Because I haven't seen London from this point of view except in an aeroplane. I can see trees and greenery way off in the background and the hills. So you still get a sense that this was once a country full of human beings. You know, a major city like London, full of history. And what does it really look like? Not a lot, mate. Not a lot. Mugged out of our own country. It's a shame, right? Centre of London, and it's a bicycle wheel that stands out. All right? I don't know how many times I can moan about that ugliness, but I'm right. You know I'm right. Be nice to think I was an anachronism of the past. We had a future here that was worthy of talking about, but my God, I got it right. 30 years ago, I was bang on the money what they were going to do to this place, and they've done it, and no one stopped it. They've murdered the town. It's hideous. God, I never thought when I was young I'd say Manchester was more pretty than London. Even Scousland.
Scousland.
Don't let the sun go down on me. It's nice, that, isn't it? It's nice. It's the only thing they can't take away from you, really, is the sun. But you have to be like 500 feet in the air to see it. Because London's now so overbuilt, we're really lucky that we can see a sunset, because no one else in this town can. The sun is setting, and so am I. Peace. Off.
Wow. Johnny really put it all there on the table.
Well, fuck it.
Scousland, that reminds me. I don't know if James Stone is still here in the chat, but he and I were chatting. He gave me the idea to do a Name This City episode on Liverpool, England. Wow. Oh my God, is that serious? I have 45 people watching? Holy cow. Yes, BB Rebozo, Scouser is someone from Liverpool. Yeah, okay. Forever Love is here. Of course, Hippie Shake 29. Melissa West. Conan Egan. Conan says, new here, John Levi sent me. Yes, greetings. Thank you for joining. I was happily surprised yesterday morning when I got my morning coffee and sat down to watch like I do every Sunday, watch the newest John Levi video, and I wish I had a picture of my face when I realized that John was sharing my research. It's not every day. It was something yesterday was just kind of magical or exciting. My whole day just changed for the better at that point. It was a good day already, but John sent it off in a new and exciting direction. Thank you again, John. Exceeding abundantly, John Levi sent me too. Yes, the channel experienced a sub flood. Vasilis, he's not in the chat anymore, but he used that word yesterday, a sub flood. I literally gained 1,000 new subscribers yesterday. Basically, I doubled my subscriber count in one day, thanks to John Levi and his recommendation to check out my channel. I'm doing my best to keep up with everybody, but the flow has been amazing. Oh, Eyes of the World, Bao sent me. Wow. Oh, was Bao? Yeah, I check out Bao every day. Was he mentioning me? A sub flood is the only good flood. Yes. Yo Dino, thank you. Stormer, thank you. They said watched a few videos. I really like your Piranesi prison video. Yes, Piranesi is amazing. If you like the Piranesi video on my channel, I think there's two more. There's two more Piranesi videos. I think I've done a total of 3. Piranesi is a wealth of research information. He's got so many good etchings that it's amazing. I could just keep going on it with him. Wow, I didn't realize I had so many viewers at this time. So maybe I will rerun this video, my short film here. Wow, thank you everybody for joining. The show is just starting. I'm going to rerun it. Here we are at the beginning. This is Dublin, Ireland, and the Easter Rising event. Thank you for joining.
And native, nationalist and unionist, Catholic, Protestant, Jew and Quaker,
And so many more. We're all bound together in life of the city of Dublin. As the centre for British rule in Ireland for 8 centuries, Dublin was the focal point of the substance and symbols of British culture. Dublin was moving into a decade of remarkable change. Little would remain untouched. First, the 1913 lockout redefined the nature of commerce and class relations in the city. Then, in 1940, Castle, constructed following a 13th century decision of King John. The castle was the centre of British rule in Ireland. The Irish sought self-rule for their republic and a separation from British authority. There were regular concerts in Liberty Hall, where all could meet under apparently innocent cover. Beneath the surface, out of sight, was the other side of the city, the poverty, the grinding, awful poverty. Slums filled to overflowing with people without hope, dying in greater numbers than perhaps any other capital in the British Empire. Starvation, disease, and death were rampant. These misfortunates could not enjoy the theater, the opera, the concert. Their only pleasure perhaps, a cigarette or a drink on Sunday. The sounds of war were far away, but they were beginning to echo here as those who wished for change sensed an opportunity. but Ireland was pregnant with anticipation. Soon she would be delivered of her child, and a terrible beauty would be born. Monday, April 24th, 11 a.m. Members of the Irish Volunteers are seen gathering in uniform at Blackhall Place. 11:15 a.m. Large numbers of volunteers begin gathering at Liberty Hall. They are joined by members of the Irish Citizens Army. Volunteer activity is also observed around St. Stephen's Green. 11:45 a.m. Members of the Irish Citizens Army take control of St. Stephen's Green, and volunteers have entered the South Dublin Union. Nearby, volunteers also take control of the forecourts. Noon, Monday, April 24th, a British ammunition convoy is ambushed near the forecourts. 12:30 p.m., the British response begins. Colonel Cowan orders 6 reserve cavalry to send a patrol to Sackville Street, and for the 3 battalions of the Dublin garrison to send men to defend Dublin Castle. He also contacts the Curragh by phone and asks that the mobile columns of the 3rd Reserve Cavalry are sent to Dublin. Tuesday, April 25th, 8:30 a.m. Under heavy fire, the Citizens Army forces at St. Stephen's Green make the decision to abandon their exposed positions in the Green and take up new positions in the Royal College of Surgeons. Wednesday, April 26th, 8 a.m. The news that martial law has been proclaimed by the British authorities is announced. Thursday, April 27th, 5 a.m. British troops begin using improvised armored cars to move men and materials more safely around Dublin. 10:30 a.m. The fire at the Irish Times building spreads quickly, and British troops are able to move forward under the cover of smoke. Friday, April 28th, 1 a.m. Fire is out of control at Sackville Street, and the Dublin Fire Brigade is stood down due to danger of small arms fire in the area. Saturday, April 29, 6:30 a.m. Heavy fighting on North King Street as the British try and take the remaining buildings. Some rebel positions have been abandoned, but more soldiers are killed and wounded when they attempt to take Riley's Fort. Sunday, April 30th, 10 p.m. The rebellion in Dublin is over. The fighting decimated large parts of central Dublin and will take years to rebuild. In all, 447 people have been killed, including 252 civilians, and 2,500 are wounded. 64 rebels have died, along with 16 policemen and 116 British soldiers. Thank you for that field coverage and war report. Our brave men and women capturing photographs and films from the battlefield. I would like to take this time to pay honor and tribute to the men and women who may have lost their lives in this event. They fought valiantly for their rights and way of life. Let's take a closer look at the damage and destruction. These buildings are completely destroyed. Many are simply gone. A shell of what they once were. A few walls still stand, yet the rest of the structure has disappeared. The rubble consists of small pieces of brick that have fallen and gathered into smooth mounds. We see that the streets are clear of rubble, and perhaps the citizens first cleared the streets after martial law was lifted. Due to the nature of explosions, we would expect to see debris and rubble everywhere. It is reported in the official narrative that the weapons used were rifles, machine guns, hand grenades, handheld artillery, and the forces of fire. After the event, the two sides agreed to peace for Dublin and began to rebuild the city. The citizens picked up the pieces of their lives and went forward. The remaining damaged buildings were skillfully brought to the ground by the Dublin Fire Brigade with the use of explosives and brute force. They took their orders from the men in top hats. Were the conventional weapons of World War I capable of such destruction? Or did some other force or weapon destroy Dublin? Another theory that I'd like to cover in this presentation is, was there some type of flammable propellant used that caused the burning of brick, steel, and stone? In the previous section of the War Reporter, we heard an account of buildings engulfed in flames with heavy smoke. Having the fire brigade at this event is something that we're going to take a closer look at. It's in regards to what happened in Dublin and what happened to other cities all across the face of the earth. On one hand, it does make sense for the safety of the fire brigade members not to fight a fire that's in the middle of an active war zone. However, I theorize that fire brigades could have played a larger role at these types of events. Let's recap what we've discussed, then move into a closer look at the men, the soldiers, and the fire brigade, including their equipment and their military training. According to the official narrative, in 1916, Dublin, Ireland experienced a week-long battle inside the city between the Irish and the British. This took place while World War I was in full swing hundreds of miles away on mainland Europe. Many of the Irish and British soldiers were allies as they fought together against the Kaiser in Germany. The finest military weaponry went with them as British and Irish war assets were deployed in a distant war theater. The men and women that were reported to have done this damage were from reserve units, and reinforcements were called in from far away. As we can see from this B-roll footage, artillery brigades consist of many soldiers, many horses, and the heavy guns. In order to bring artillery to the battle, the brigade had to travel long and far, off the beaten path, to get into position. The members of the Irish Army and their volunteers would want to target these incoming British artillery brigades. Irish snipers could wreak havoc on the British forces. In 1916, artillery was reported to be the biggest guns around. Other conventional weapons reported to have been used include hand grenades, baseball-sized explosives that were thrown by the hand grenadiers at the enemy. Rifles and machine guns were also used by many of the participants. Were the conventional weapons of World War I capable of such destruction? Or did some other force or weapon destroy Dublin? In this section, we're going to take a look at the fire and the original fire brigades. Aside from the weapons, fire played a role in the destruction of Dublin and other Old World cities. Let's take a look at the definition of brigade. A brigade is defined as a large body of troops with a tactical and administrative unit composed of a headquarters, one or more units of infantry, or armor and supporting units. It is also defined as a group of people organized for special activity. This is rare footage of the Great Vancouver Fire of 1904. We can see how intense the fires can be. We also see the fire brigade in action during the event and afterwards. Can a conventional fire burn down buildings made of steel, brick, and stone? Or would a propellant need to be applied to achieve more destructive results? These buildings are fully engulfed in flames with the contents inside providing the fuel. Or was there an accelerant applied to the building either before or during the event? We can faintly make out something being sprayed out of the hoses. We typically assume that's water. Could they be spraying fuel onto the fire? As we've established, the members of the fire brigade were well-trained military men with expertise in explosives and weaponry. Could these events be military exercises? We've looked into the role of the fire brigade at these types of events. In this section, we'll consider other weapons taken from the historical record. What's going on here in this photograph? This is very suspicious. The fire brigade member in the upper right, men huddled around a smoking box in the middle of the debris. Is this some type of weapon that they're using? Is this part of the destructive force? What caused all of this destruction? Are we looking at the results of a weapon or technology that isn't known to the general public? What are we looking at? Where are the flame marks? Should black burn marks be present? Throughout history, we see many similar events. Numerous old world cities have been destroyed by fire, war, or other forces. This appears to be a repeating script with similar actors and similar equipment. For example, Boston, Massachusetts reportedly burned down in 1872. We can theorize that there is a concerted effort to destroy the old world, city by city, building by building. Whoever is controlling these events has the resources to carry out this destruction all across the face of the earth, decade after decade, century after century. By using the cover story of war, or fire, or natural events, the control mechanism that's in place is systematically causing the destruction of the old world ways and the old world architecture. What other weapons can we examine from the historical record? We see some examples of sound cannons, reportedly able to cause a direct shock wave. It is reported that farmers have used this technology to shoot a shock wave into approaching storm clouds, which dissipates the likelihood of hail. Here's a photograph of reported aerial listening equipment capable of detecting incoming aircraft. Could this be converted into a directed sound weapon by focusing sound waves onto a target? Another weapon for examination is electromagnetic technology. Electromagnetic technology is available for view in the historical record. Coil cannons which propel a projectile with the use of magnets and an electrical charge. Apparently, you can assemble these cannons in all shapes and sizes. Reportedly, this farmer here assembled one in his barn. During World War II, we began to see these weapons portrayed on a larger scale. In the article, we read that miniature earthquakes can be produced from the magnetic field around this weapon. Going even further back in the historical record, we see depictions of facet technology, which is a bundle of metallic rods reportedly capable of directed electrical discharge. Facet weapons were revered and celebrated, showing us that they knew whoever owned this technology was in control of the power. The next weapon technology that we're going to take a look at is Archimedes' death ray. Archimedes' death ray technology is shown in this alchemical era depiction. The characters have devices that can harness and amplify the sun's power. We see the sun rays being collected and reflected onto a ship near the shore, causing it to burst into flames. Back in the day, one way to protect your castle from enemy ships was to put a giant reflector on the roof to gather the sun rays and redirect them onto the attacking ships. Some might say that this technology is fantasy, make-believe, that it never really existed, that all the many depictions from different artists are all from their imaginations. However, this technology deserves further investigation. To recap on the Archimedes death ray technology, it appears to have been a common weapon depicted in the old world. Perhaps this has been hidden away from the general public. Now we move on to Greek fire. In this one I'm going to connect back with the fire brigade, especially the similarity in equipment and materials. In the historical record, we read and see depictions of Greek fire in action. It is reported that the fire stuck to whatever it hit and that water didn't put it out. It actually burned underwater. I'd like to reiterate that I'm simply theorizing here. I can't prove any of this. I'm just reviewing the historical record and asking why so many old world cities have been destroyed, and I'm trying to find the answers to those questions. Could this type of weapon or technology have been used by early fire brigades to bring down specific buildings? In this depiction, is this person starting the building on fire, or are they putting out the fire? Hard to say. The individuals in the fire brigade were well-trained military soldiers. They were well-versed in explosives, weapons, fire, and fire control. Being a part of the military, they knew how to be highly organized and how to follow orders. In this final depiction, we see how advanced they were in the old world. The architecture, the ships, the craftsmanship, and the weaponry on deck. These tanks appear to be metallic. They remind me of the apparatuses of the old fire brigades. Look at the similarity. Could there be something other than just water inside those tanks? If there is a connection between the fire brigade and the destruction of the old world, I can only hope they evacuated all individuals before they brought the buildings down. If these were good men, they certainly spared the lives of the inhabitants that lived and worked in these structures. Were these men simply taking orders from their evil supervisors? It is sad and spooky to watch the buildings burning, knowing how it affected the lives of the men and women and the boys and girls in the area. Does your city have a story of a fire, or a war, or a natural event destroying the old world architecture? Wow. That's really always heavy to watch that, you know. It's creating the film is a process, and I kind of get lost in the process sometime, in, you know, being fully immersed in it, and then it gives me a whole new perspective to re-watch it after I've taken some time away from it, you know, how heavy that is. The destruction of Dublin, and, you know, from what I gather in my research, you know, it's a common thing that has happened in most major cities. There's a story where the city has been destroyed by a war, or a fire, or a natural event, floods, a lot of floods. So I do have more films that are in various states of progress. You know, I noticed that early on in the filmmaking, I would immerse myself solely and only to the project in front of me. You know, I wouldn't think about anything else. But I've kind of shifted my focus so that you know, I can put some effort into a new project, and then I can leave it as is and move over to something else. So I have different films in the various completion points. So look for new films coming up in the near future. This last week I added 3 new episodes of Name This City, and for those that are new to the channel, I have a series of short films. They're 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 minutes long. They're pretty short, where I gather photographs and films of a specific city and I assemble them in a way, you know, putting little hints and clues in there, and then the object of the episode is to see if you can identify the city. And believe it or not, somebody has been able to solve the riddle really quickly. And some of them I think, wow, this episode is going to be really difficult. Nobody's going to be able to figure out the name of this city. And I keep an eye on the comments and boom, somebody solves it. It's fun to do it that way. Some people aren't into it, and I can appreciate that. So what I do is I release it as a new installment of Name This City, but then once it's been solved, I re-release the film, or I'm in the process of re-releasing those with the name in the title. So it's kind of a travel brochure in a way for that particular city to watch the video. And in the description, when I'm selecting a category to put the film into, I've been picking travel and adventure as the category for it to be put into, and I noticed that I get a new crowd in the comments and the emails, so it's reaching a broader audience that way. Maybe not all of them are from our community, but they're learning more, so I feel like it's been helpful in bringing new eyes and new information and new details to the search for what has happened in the past, what went down here, and like, who's responsible for this, who's carrying out these plans to. And you know, I know floods do happen and natural events do happen and fires do happen, but the scale and the amount of attacks is so numerous that to me it's overwhelming evidence that somebody's been planning the destruction of the old world architecture and the old world ways for a long time. Like, it's multi-generational. Like, they will hand the plan off to the next son or daughter to continue. I don't know, it's a riddle to me. But I want to thank everybody for coming by. We still have 45 people here watching. That's good. While that film was playing, I did a brief chat with Austin, and he said that there's something I can do to play the audio. I tell you what, I could fade it out here, but let me try one more time. I don't want to waste your time. It's very valuable. I know it's, let's see if I can. So there's something I have to do with the audio. Okay, let's see. Automatic capture method. Maybe this is it. Not sure. Anyway, let's see if I can. If this doesn't work, I'll fade it out. Let me know if you can hear that, because I can hear that. do you hear this? Can anybody in the chat hear this piano music? Well, I tell you what, I'm going to figure that out at a different time and not waste your time. That's not fair to you. So let me get back to this. I think I've mentioned this before that sometimes when I'm talking, I'm using OBS. Boy, I've really got myself kind of screwed up here. Okay. There we go. Sometimes there's a delay in what I say and what I hear in my headphones, so I kind of talk kind of garbly sometimes. But look for this week. I have some more live streams planned where I want to go through and do a year in review of my films. I've got a pretty good catalog of seeing behind the veil there. All right, so I want to do a year in review of some of my older pieces that don't have narration, and I might add narration to them. And look for this one. It's my airships video. A lot of people like this. This has had it's had over 1,000 views, and for me, that's quite a bit. I don't have a lot of videos that are over 1,000 views, but the airships one is one of them. It turned out really well. I like making films like that where it's just the visuals and the soundtrack. And yeah, some of them do have narration, but some don't. When I made them, I realized that there was more to it, that, you know, it wasn't a complete piece, but it does stand alone by itself if you want to check it out. But again, thank you everybody for coming out. This went really well. This was a redo on my Dublin, Ireland live stream, and you know, YouTube had lost the original footage, so and it went so well. I want, and you know, short videos with a nice soundtrack that really put effort towards having it be a complete piece. I've gotten my feet wet in live streams. I did a bunch of live streams with Ray over in Boston on the Michelle L channel, or the Boston Ray Mud Flood Adventures channel. So, you know, I'm kind of getting the hang of this. I'm still new to some of this stuff, so some of it's not as polished as others, but I think I'm getting there. Again, I want to thank John Levi for his shout out yesterday. It's been amazing. My channel has doubled in subscribers in one day, thanks to John's shout out. But thank you again, John. If you ever need anything in the future, any more research or any more films, or if you'd like to use something, feel free, let me know. My email is just like the channel name. My email is billmillerflip@yahoo.com if anybody wants to contact me. Thank you again for turning out. It's been an amazing live stream, and enjoy the rest of your day, afternoon, or evening, whatever the case may be in your corner of the realm. Enjoy, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.